Yo, what up, guys? Welcome back to Easy on the Road. I know it's been a minute. We're going to call this one a PSA. Coming at you with a public service announcement for the day. And it just has to do with hiking big mountains. I've hiked about 15, 14ers. I ran a marathon. And these are just some of the things that I've taken away from how to enjoy your time in the mountains a little bit better. At least when it comes to hiking some of the 14ers and other mountains, you know. So I found that going lighter is your friend. You don't need a gallon of water. You don't need a giant down jacket. Bring your essentials, you know. I see plenty of people going out for the hike, one in the afternoon, which is a terrible idea. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But you're going out with a down jacket and this giant backpack, you know. Unless you're backpacking or plan on camping out on the trail, you don't need that. If you plan on going up and down all in the same day, and most of these hikes are probably going to be anywhere from, you know, 5-6 hours. Some are longer, some are shorter, you know. I'd say maybe that's an average. But you don't need to, you know, bring a picnic. And you probably need a couple water bottles, however that looks like. But again, you don't need a whole gallon of water. All it's going to do is slow you down. But I think, you know, layering is a huge advantage, you know, depending on the weather and the time of year. You know, most of the time, if you start with a down jacket, you're going to be taking that off within 100 yards. You know, you start climbing in elevation pretty quick, and that gets your heart rate going. You're going to start sweating, and that's one thing you want to avoid. Sweat management is a good thing, because if you can layer properly, you're not going to over sweat. Your sweat's not going to get cold when it does start to get windy, and could make things really unfun. And so, you know, what I recommend generally is maybe like a t-shirt, a long sleeve shirt potentially, but like a windbreaker is kind of your final layer. Because that way, if it does get windy up towards the top, you get out of the tree line, it's something that can protect you from the wind, protect your face. There's been plenty of situations where I've been stuck, not stuck, but you're getting windburn in the face, your eyes hurt, your nose hurts, everything hurts. And so one thing to really help with that is you know, a windbreaker, and just doing things properly that way. Now, you know, typically what I recommend is, you know, I wear shorts. I get hot really easily as well, but I generally wear shorts. Helps your legs stay cool and fresh. You could always wear like compression pants or something like that. Not a bad option either. It's just, again, this is all my personal preference and based on experience doing this, and what I've learned. And so that's generally what I, you know, and obviously a great, you know, I don't wear boots. I generally try to wear like a pair of trail running shoes or something like that, and definitely not heavy socks either. This is all about being light and comfortable, and you don't want to over sweat like we talked about. Then your feet get sore, you get blisters, things like that. And so you want to make sure that you're, you know, from top to bottom, you have the layers. But again, light. Bring things that, if, you know, whether you have a hydration pack or a little backpack, you can put that in there. And it's not going to really weigh you down or anything like that. You know, and next, what I would say is, as far as hydration and food, again, you don't need to bring a whole picnic. Some of the best things you can do is, like I said, the hydration vests are nice, or, you know, a camelback. Just find something that's going to be light and something, you know what you're going to go through in that day, and that's going to help your hike be lighter, help you be lighter on your feet, and it's going to save you from stopping and things like that. Now, as far as food goes, it kind of depends on your size or your mass, but I generally bring like 1, maybe 2 granola bars. You don't need protein at this, you need carbs. You're burning energy fast, you need carbohydrates. Save the protein shake for when you get down. at the bottom, and that's what's gonna replenish you at that point. Now, from there, timing is really big, or not. So let's stay on food. So I generally like to do these types of hikes fasted. I feel like that way you can avoid the bubbling belly and issues from eating a giant burrito or something that morning. Like I said, if you're planning the right way for this, eating the night before, you're gonna have plenty of energy to get through this. And that way, and then you save your snacks for, the top of the mountain when you're taking a break, and you need that extra bit of energy to get to the bottom. And then as far as, the night before, yes, you want to eat a healthy meal the night before, probably a little bit more carb heavy to give you that energy to help you burn that off in the morning. But also something that's not going to be causing you problems in the morning either. One thing that really helps avoid, altitude sickness, I have found that if you can go up there the afternoon before, or the night before at a minimum, and camp out overnight, get a few hours up there prior to going on this hike, it's going to help you immensely, because especially if you're coming up from Denver or other places that have a lower elevation, those are going to be times where you have a much higher risk of getting that altitude sickness. And so by giving yourself that little extra time is going to help a lot. I get migraines, and I've been dealt with altitude sickness a few times before, and it's not fun at all. But there are some ways to help you avoid that. That's being hydrated before, eating healthy up to the hike, and just getting yourself some extra time at those higher elevations, because going from 5,000 feet to 14,000 feet all in one day is a big jump. And so by cutting that in half is going to do you a world of benefits for you. Next, as far as the timing of the hike, something you want to do is try to get off or be below tree line before 2 o'clock. Most of the weather rolls in Colorado in the afternoon, and I've been stuck in times where you start to feel shocks in your arms and things from your pulls or whatever it is, and that's where you see people starting their hike at noon, and it's just like they're in for. It's not that it's going to happen every time or even most of the time, but it's something that is a real scenario here in Colorado. And if you're going to do what you can to avoid getting stuck in a thunderstorm, it also can roll in at any moment, and so you're going to be doing yourself a lot of favors, and it's a lot safer to go up early and try to be below tree line before 2 o'clock to avoid being up there with the clouds, potentially getting struck by lightning or stuck in some type of thunderstorm. So however long this hike is supposed to take, I would say, plan to figure out how to be below tree line again, before 2 o'clock, whether that's starting at 4 or 5. I've been in situations, actually hiking Mount Elbert, we hiked it, and got to the top before the sun had even risen. And it was hours before the sun was even going to rise. And so, we missed out on that, but it is what it is. It was still an awesome experience, a really cool hike. But, planning comes in huge, look into things, get a game plan going days before, and don't just wing it, because the winging it could, end up being very bad. And so, and don't be scared to turn around. If weather comes in, I think Mount Democrat took us a few times, because whether it was wind or weather or whatever it was, we got to a certain point on the mountain and we just kept getting turned around, and it was miserable. It wasn't worth finishing it, whether it was we were going to get blown off the mountain or stuck in some type of storm. It's not worth it. You can always come back, and it'll be there for you. It's not going anywhere. And then as far as that goes, that's kind of my tips and tricks and things like that. I think we covered clothing, food, hydration, bringing you know, maybe a liquid IV or something like that can't hurt either. They're light. You can put some of that in your water, and that's going to help you get through the day. And so remember, in these scenarios, carbs are your friend. They're going to give you the energy you need. Just be light, eat smart carbs, save the protein for after. And you're definitely going to be hungry when you're done, but it's much more of a reward when you get to the bottom and can kind of eat whatever you want in a way. But I've found lighter is always going to be your best friend. It's going to help you a lot, whether it's lighter on the belly, lighter on the pack. And one thing that I think helps a lot, seems kind of crazy, but jogging down helps a ton. It's a lot easier on your joints. It kind of gives you, you're kind of doing that last final push to get to the end, the home stretch you can call it. But it is, it's enjoyable. You just suffered to get to the top, and it's kind of a nice little jog, getting down to the bottom, and you get to your car quicker, you can go relax quicker. Just be smart about it. They're very rocky and can be treacherous terrains, and so just know your limits, know yourself, and hopefully these tips help for whoever's attempting to hike their first 14er, or maybe they're 10 into it. Hopefully this is a benefit to you and to whoever's thinking about getting into the sport of hiking 14ers or anything at higher elevations, or longer hikes like that you're looking to do in a day. But that's been my PSA for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace, outro.